Thank you for clicking on the QR code for assembly of your brand new workstation. Before we go over this, we're going to go over just a few announcements that I have. The first thing that I want to mention is our daily deals on MartelliNotions.com. Every single day, we have an extremely great deal on our website. Again, that can be found on MartelliNotions.com. Also, every single Thursday from 1 p.m. until we're finished, we have a fantastic fabric sale, and we sell only premium grade fabric, and you can find this on our main Martelli Enterprises main Facebook page. And last but not least, we have our Martelli Quilters group. If you go to Facebook and you type in Martelli Quilters group, it's an all-inclusive group, no matter of your skill level, which shows you about all of our products and how to make different projects. And it doesn't matter if you've been doing it a long time or you're just starting. There's so many great tips, tricks, and techniques to help you do what you absolutely love to do. Now, here's the thing. Before we get started, I want to say one last time, thank you so much. Now, what we're about to mention right now are the different steps that we are going to do to show you assembly. So segment number 1 is going to be the tools that you need to assemble this. Section number 2, we're going to lay out all the parts that you will need and that you will get to assemble your brand new workstation. Number 3, we're going to go over the hardware that you're going to get to assemble your workstation. Number 4, segment number 4 will be the actual table assembly. And the last thing that I want to add, please do not throw any boxes away whatsoever until you have fully assembled your table and you're tested and you're fully happy with your purchase. Okay? So without further ado, this is my helper right here. He works for us. He's been putting these together for a long time. This is Nehemiah McCollum. He's fantastic at what he does, and he's going to be here to help us today. Section number 1 are going to be the tools that are needed to assemble your brand new workstation. I'm going to have Nehemiah take this pointer and point them out to you. Nehemiah, if you would, sir.
All you'll need is 4 tools. Not a lot. We have our 5/32 hex bit. Then we have our 3/16 hex bit, our size 3 Phillips, and a size 13 wrench.
And if you have an impact drill, that would be really nice to use as well. This is section number 2. In section number 2, we are going to cover all of the table parts. This sensational workstation will come in 5 separate boxes. The tabletop will come in a box. One leg will come in one box. The other leg will come in the other box. The 2 table runners will come in its own box. And then you get the power box and the remote coming in the 5th box. So let's start off with the first box, which is the largest box. This is going to be the tabletop. The tabletop is going to have the mat cutout where you put your mat in. This is the last thing that you will do once your table is all assembled, is place your mat into the cutting area. The next part of the table that we're going to show you are the table runners. You're going to notice there's 2 table runners. They will both have a letter on them. One has C and one has D. This is your D runner. If you notice on your D runner, on the side of it where it screws to your table, it's going to have 3 screw holes. Your C table runner will be on the front portion of your table. You're going to notice with the C runner, it says C right there, you have a little spot that's cut out right there. And when I turn it this way, the C runner only has 2 screw holes. So the C runner will go on the front portion of your table. The D runner will go on the back portion of your table. Also in the table runner box, this is going to be your table stabilizer bar. This will go on the bottom side of the back of the table, and this is to separate the table and to make everything tight. In box number 3 and box number 4, you're going to get both table legs. If you look at the table legs, this is going to have a B on it, and the other leg will have an A on it. Please remember, when you look at the cords for the actuators, they are all color-coded. We will show you how to plug those in later on in the video. Also, please remember, the 14-inch actuators on your table always face the outside. They don't face to the inside. This is your B leg and this is your A leg. And these will come in their own separate boxes. In box number 5, this is the last box. This will be your accessory box. In your accessory box, you're going to get 1 pigtail that has 2 connectors on it. You're going to get a table remote. You're going to get a set of hinges, depending on the table. You're going to get 4 casters. 2 will be locking, 2 will be non-locking. The locking casters always go in the front, and you're going to get a color-coordinated power box to match up to your color coordinated actuators. As you can see, this is very simply designed and very, very easy to put together and very minimal parts. So let's go ahead and get started on the assembly. Now, for section 3, we are going to go over the hardware that is needed for assembly. For section number 3, I'm going to have Nehemiah help us out again.
Let's take a look at the hardware. If any of this is missing, feel free to give us a call. First, we have our large bolts for the stabilizer bar. Then we have our 2 shoulder bolts and their 2 corresponding nuts for the hinges. Then we have our 4 nuts and 4 washers for your American-made casters. Then we have 2 cotter pins and their 2 clevis pins to attach your 6-inch actuators to your tabletop. Then we have 14 wood screws, 10 of which are for your runners, 4 of which are to attach your hinges. Additionally, these are parts we'll use later in this video. These are your 4 casters, 2 of which you'll notice have locking mechanisms. These will go on the front of your table. Then we have your power box, which is color coded to help with assembly. Then we have your remote. Let's go ahead and start with the table assembly. First, we're going to install the hinges. For this, we'll need our size 3 Phillips bit, 4 wood screws, and 2 hinges. Step 1, let's put the hinges in, round side facing out. Now we'll do the other side.
Step number 2, let's go ahead and assemble our legs, starting off with the A side.
For this, we'll need our 2 shoulder bolts and their corresponding nuts, our size 3/16 hex bit, and our size 13 wrench. Now let's install our A leg. Line it up with your hinge. Make sure no cords are under there getting pinched. We'll take our shoulder bolt. We'll pass it through from the leg side over through to the hinge side. We'll start our nut. Just like that. Take our wrench and our screw gun and or screw. Line it up. And we're going to tighten this down until we see this leg straighten out. Just like that. Now let's do your B leg. Line it up with a hinge. Make sure there's no cables under there getting caught up on anything. Take your shoulder bolt, pass it through from the leg side. Take your nut, start it onto the shoulder bolt. Take your size 13 wrench. And again, we're going to screw this on until we see this leg line up. Just like that. Step number 3. Now that we have our legs attached, we're going to take our long cords attached to our 14-inch actuators and pass it through the cable management holes. As you can see, these legs pivot up and down, so we put these holes in here so nothing gets caught up. Pass it through.
And the same thing that we're going to do it to the opposite side. We're going to put the actuator attachment through the hole because the leg pivots. Next, we are going to do the table runners. We are going to start with the D table runner. That is the table runner that is closest to me, and that table runner has 3 holes on each end. So let's go ahead and put that D table runner on there. Now please notice you have metal on the frame of the bottom side of the table, and you have metal on the top side of the runner. So the top side of the runner is going to sit on the bottom side of the metal of the table. So you're going to have metal here and metal here that touch. And now we're going to screw the table runners to the legs. You will need 3 wood screws for each side. You come on the outside of the table and you can just start screwing them all in by hand just to get them started. Once they are in, you can take your drill or your Phillips head screwdriver and you're going to tighten it in until it's tight. You will know it's tight when it sucks to the table. Now that we're done with that, we're going to go to the opposite side. We're going to do the same thing to this side. Notice this side has 3 screw holes, and this is important because the other side only has 2, which is the front side of the table. Let's screw this in. See how it sucks to the table? Now, let's do the front side of the table. Notice on the back side of the table, the metal will sit on top of the metal. On the front side of the table, the metal of the runner will sit directly on top of the bottom side of the table. Then we're going to take this, and this one has 2 screw holes. So this right here has 2 holes, and the back side has 2 holes. So we're going to line this up with the holes. We're going to take our screw gun just like so. We'll start this by hand just to get them started. Just like that. And we'll get this started. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to tighten this until it sucks nice and tight to that table. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Next, we're going to attach the 6-inch actuators to the bracket that is on the bottom side of the table. Let's get started. To get started with the 6-inch actuators, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the color coordinated pigtail that has 1 on one side and 2 on the other side, orange, and we're going to plug it into the orange. Now, this is going to be for your 6-inch actuators. So now you're going to take your 6-inch actuators and you're going to take the end of it that is color coordinated just like so to the dual end. These right here. And you're going to take it like so, and you're going to plug this in, and then you're going to lock that into place. And then we want to do the same thing with the other side. Keep in mind, we don't want to tangle any of the cords. So we're going to take this, and we're going to plug this like so, and then we're going to lock that into place. Now, one thing that I want to mention about this power box is when the table is upside down during assembly, the power box slides on upside down like this, right? So if I let go, that power box is going to fall. So the one thing that we're going to do is we're just going to leave this off until we get to the very end of the process. Once the table is flipped back over to the other side and you slide this power box onto the bracket, it's gravity fed, so gravity holds it into place. It doesn't need a lock. The reason why it slides down is because the table's upside down. So let's go ahead and get started with the 6-inch actuators. Once it's plugged in, you're going to use the remote, and I'm going to have Nehemiah explain it from here.
All right. So we're going to take our 6-inch actuators. We're going to line them on to our brackets. What we're going to do is we're going to raise this table all the way up to the point where we can access these brackets from the side and install our clevis and cotter pins.
Next, you're going to take your cotter pin and your clevis pin, and you're going to assemble that. Now, you have to make sure the actuator hole lines up with the bracket hole. It can be done very simply by taking your hand, putting your hand right here, and lifting just a little bit until the holes line up. Once the holes line up, take both hands like that. You push it all the way through. Once you have your cotter pin through the hole, you're now going to assemble your clevis pin through the cotter pin. Once it's through like that, you're going to bring it up towards yourself just like so, and then you want to split the clevis pin. Once you split that clevis pin, that's what keeps that pin in place so your actuator can never come out. Now we're going to do the other side. If you want to make this really easy, take the clevis pin right there and separate it just a little bit so it's easy to get your fingernail on there to split it. So now again, you're going to take your hand right here, you're going to lift up a little bit, and so you can line these holes up. Once these holes line up, you just push that cotter pin all the way through, leaving the hole of the cotter pin right there. Then you're going to put the clevis pin through the little hole of the cotter pin, and you're going to turn it until you can manipulate it. Then you take that side like that, and you take this side like that, and you split it again so that cotter pin can't come out, and that holds the back side of the table in place, allowing the table to pivot. Last, we're going to lower the table and we're going to put the stabilizer bar in. So let's go ahead and lower the table. Very important to make sure all of your cords are out of the way on both sides so nothing ever gets pinched. Once you have it lowered, you're good to go because we're going to do cable management at the very last part of the table. Now the table is lowered all the way. Let's go ahead and put our stabilizer bar in. This is done very, very easily. So the stabilizer bar is going to go to the back side of the table, which is the part of the table that is closest to me. So we're going to grab the stabilizer bar just like so. And it can only go in one spot. And I want to get a close-up of this. I'm actually going to point. You're going to see on the back side of the table that's closest to me, on the leg, the bottom side of the leg, you're going to see a hole right there. And it's going to be the same thing on the other side, right there. So right there, and directly across from it on the other leg. You're going to take the stabilizer bar, and you're going to set the stabilizer bar in here just like so. As we put in our stabilizer bar, you're going to notice on the outside of the leg, there's screws in every single screw hole, except for one. It's the bottom side of the leg, and the very last spot does not have a screw in it. So we're going to take our screw with the 5/32 head, we're going to put this in this hole just like so, and then we're going to take our bit like here, and we're going to screw this right into the table, just like so. And screw that until it's nice and tight, and then we're going to go do the same exact thing to the other side. The other side, it will go exactly where there's no screw, so you put the screw in the hole where the screw is missing, and you tighten up this table stabilizer bar. This is what holds everything together. Next, we're going to go ahead and put on the casters, our industrial wheel casters. The two locking casters that have the locking mechanisms are going to go on the front side of the table. If I can have you help me there real quick, Nehemiah. We're going to take this. Now, each one of these has a washer and a bolt. Give that to Nehemiah, and I'm going to take one right here. And we're going to step right over here. Make sure the wheel goes down. And then this is going to go through the table just like that. You're going to put your washer on, and then you're going to put the nut on the washer just like that, and you're going to tighten it down with a 1/2-inch drive, right? So just take your 1/2-inch socket and make sure you tighten that down. Now, the reason why we put the locking ones on the front, because you're going to use it from the front and you want to lock it. And if you want to move it, you just unlock it and you can move it anywhere in the room that you want. So next, I'm going to hand Nehemiah a washer and a bolt. And I'm going to take a washer and a bolt, and we are going to do the same exact thing to the back side of the table. Washer goes on first, and then the nut, and then we're going to take our 1/2-inch drive to tighten this down really, really well, just like so. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to use the color coordinated scheme that we have here. We're going to plug the actuator blue into blue and green into green. And we are simply going to go ahead and slide the power box back onto the table. Remember, it's upside down. So we are going to take the box that the power box came into. We're going to angle it just like so. And we're going to put this just like this. And that will hold the box as we flip the table right side up. If you have your table and you're assembling it on a table, have somebody help you flip it right side up. If you're putting it together on the floor, you can just roll it over. But since I'm putting it together on the table, I'm going to have somebody help me. We're going to move this to the edge. Funnest part of this table is we are going to test it. So we're going to take this. We're going to push the first two buttons right here. That will raise and lower one side. Put it all the way down. Then you're going to go to the next side. Raise and lower. Then you're going to look at the table. It's going to raise and lower together. And the last but not least, and this will help your power box fall out from testing. So we're going to lift this all the way up just like so. And we're going to lift it up far enough where we can get our hands in there to take that power box. Because remember, this was helping us hold that power box in place. Now that it's gone, you're good to go. And at last, we're ready to use our brand new workstation. You simply take your cutting mat, either the yellow side or the purple side, whichever you like best, and you take your cutting mat and you put it in the mat cutout. Now you're ready to use your brand new sensational workstation. Thank you for your purchase, and please remember, there's no other furniture in the entire quilting industry that assembles easier than a Martelli workstation.